Paycor provides payroll and HR software to small and medium businesses. We have over 40,000 clients in a variety of industries, and from recruiting and onboarding to benefits and payroll, our clients want to make an impact in their organization, and we help them do that. We're a fast-growing company, and we have plans to grow even faster, and to accomplish that, it's critical that we are always focused on improving sales productivity, and GeoPoint helps us do just that.
GeoPoint is an amazing tool that's helped us to be more productive in the field. It's helped us to increase the number of prospects that we're getting in front of, and it's just amazing technology that helps us be more prepared in the field. My team absolutely loves using GeoPoint. It saved them a tremendous amount of time, and so we've seen almost 2.5 more drops per week when we're using GeoPoint.
I use GeoPoint on my mobile app on an almost daily basis. It actually is very strategic in the ability to optimize a specific route and get through that route in the most efficient way possible. It allows me to visualize my geographic territory, see where the concentration of my prospect accounts are, and know where I'm going to spend the majority of my time so that I'm actually able to hit a much higher level of accounts that I would not otherwise be able to hit. Because of its integration with Salesforce, I'm able to click directly into the opportunity that I'm working on and add notes, add the visit, and log the drop that I may have done to that location. GeoPoint is an integral part of our sales process, and the utilization of it across our sales team is really impactful in us being such a successful organization.
As a territory analyst, I help create and equalize everybody's territories within their separate regions. It's really important to have GeoPoint so that we can manage the data so that our sales leaders can focus on managing their people.
GeoPoint has been a big win for our sales organization. When we were evaluating a mapping solution, we looked at a couple of different options, and ultimately we selected GeoPoint. These days, users are looking for intuitive, easy-to-use technology, and GeoPoint is just that. If you have sellers who are out in the field, GeoPoint is a no-brainer. It really helps them be more productive, maximize their time, and make sure that they're optimizing their client visits while they're out in the field.
We were just a bunch of nerdy kids who ignored the haters. We took their ridicule and we built on it. And when some of us gave up, well, we built on that too. Built resilience, built on a mission to make things a little better every day until the users came. Then the haters were VCs who scoffed at our audacity. This just isn't the way things are done. But we kept building. Users turned into teams, turned into companies, running their entire businesses on our apps. Then the software giants came after us. We weren't proven, we weren't fully featured, our radical cloud model wasn't secure. But we built on. And today, as companies adopt the cloud to move faster, teams are finding themselves slowed down by each other's efforts. The skeptics are claiming we'll never develop innovation at scale. But now, DevOps have come to the cloud, ushering in a new era of transformation. Companies can release on demand across hundreds of environments, innovating faster with fewer conflicts and fewer disruptions. There will always be challenges. There will always be naysayers. And we'll build on.
So, hello everybody. Thank you very much for joining to find out what I have to say about being distributed and not dispersed teams. So, part of it is being welcome to the 21st century in my mind. So I am Ines Garcia. I'm an Agile Coach and a Salesforce MVP, and so these two things together, what I do on a day-to-day basis, basically I help organizations to become more agile whilst delivering Salesforce. And it's very, very little time that we have to cover all the things I want to say. So I'm just reach in Twitter if you want to continue the conversation. I very much that we're going to have time for questions. So let's get to it. Now, before anything, we have the sentence in England, which is about the elephant in the room, and is when something is very obvious and is not really covered, but I'm going to point to the elephant in the room. And this is because when I sent over my talk submission for virtual Dreamin months ago, I had no idea where we would be right now. And I have been working with distributed teams for years. And honestly, myself, I like to ramble around the world when that's possible, quite a bit. And one thing is that now many people haven't had the chance to prepare for this and has come to them out of the blue. And it has come with a heap of extra constraints that I'm just not going to dare to cover in the time that we have. Maybe in the future we should do a session about being suddenly distributed, right? But I think referring also to the opening keynote this morning. So leaving that aside, and this is about being distributed as a team, nothing in particular to the situations that we're living at the minute, but I hope you're gonna find a lot of things that you can try out about, right? So for me, being distributed and not being dispersed, it translates to one thing. Yes, it's that simple, but let me break it down in some areas, what this actually means, right? Being fair to yourself and to others. Before I get to that, I want to mention that working remotely, it has its perks. And when we get that right, we get freedom and we get a more connected organization. And for example, myself, instead of commuting, I'll spend the time going for a run twice a week and doing all sorts of crazy ideas I have in my mind. Is better for the environment. You have no office space cost, global employee pool, so you are an attractor to great professionals, doesn't matter where they are, and it enables more focus. You may have less noise and interruptions, just this kind of thing of just swinging by the desk. And being distributed, I think it's important to understand the importance of semantics, because it has its connotations. So I would much rather talk about being distributed rather than remote. Also, distributed works for co-located teams or whichever the setting it is, because there is many different ways and types and forms that I can take. So from the state of remote report, the key benefits people found about being distributed is about that flexible of schedule, working from anywhere, not having to commute, spending more time with the family. But it comes with its struggles. And from the same report, we can see that collaboration, loneliness, not being able to unplug, distractions at home, and so on. It comes with that. Now that takes me to the first theme, which is agreements. And agreements are really important for any team. Yet working a distributed team, there are key few things in my experience that makes the difference. So as a team, have an agreement and discuss which tools are we going to use? Where are we going to keep the information? What is our response time? What is normal for us? And every time the team changes the shape, it evolves, just review them. And everything starts with yourself. Perfect your own game. Where are you most productive? So in terms of agreements, time zones sounds really simple, but it gets assumed, or worse, sometimes it gets dismissed. Time zones are not a problem. It's really down to get to know the people and their preference. A simple visual where everybody in the team can put their preferred working hours and patterns is super powerful, just the visual. Find ideal alignment spots, for example, for your daily stand-up. Doesn't have to be in the morning. When do you have significant overlap? In the past, I've done it like at 1 p.m. in the afternoon, whatever, and basically the conversation is the same. You just tweak things. What have I achieved since last time we did one of those things? What am I going to finish until next time we're doing one of those things? And if I foresee any blockers or anything that is slowing me down, right? And this is where the rest of the team jumps to help out. Another thing related to time zones, that it's also okay to let go and say no. There will always be more work and there will always be things and stuff to do. We'll cover a bit more of that later. Now, in terms of agreements, touch points are super important. So those times are the best for where you have overlap, are the best times for swarming or pair programming. Over communicate in a very open manner. I have my calendar completely open so everybody can see what I'm up to, when I'm up to, and over communicate, but at the same time kind of reduce burden. Then about being fair to yourself and to others, leave work at work and allow others to do the same and make the most of the ability to focus. Also mentioned that distributed teams can take, as I was saying, many shapes and forms. Right now, we all satellite, but can be a mix of co-locate. In terms of agreements, channels, super important. Which channels for each purpose. So we have so many different ways to reach out to each other, to our colleagues. So from previous concept, be kind, be mindful, agree when to use Slack as a tool or whichever tool. The difference between mentions of add here and add channel, and actually if add channels is even a thing to use, and when to use that over email or over video call or chatter or who knows what. And I'll add here also, so that you all as a team in the same page in terms of tech setup. Have or get a proper broadband, earphones and a mic, you know, avoid this awful background noise and echo, and have a camera, blah, blah, blah. And time box like there is no tomorrow. That's for everything. What to achieve that week as a team for each investigation, how much to invest, how far you're going in your checkpoints, in items, to show and tell, you know, really get things done. Block that calendar, sections, what to achieve in this slot of 1.5 hours, and allow yourself to focus for that time. What I find that works quite well for me is that when I block time, I already not only block time, but I already have a list of bullet points. What am I going to tackle next? So whenever that time comes, it reduces waste and context switch because I already have, you know, some patterns of thought over there. And going back to the daily of 10 or 15 minutes alignment with your team, stay connected towards that common goal. Prep and agree the day ahead, the next 24 hours, right, together. Always favor finish over starting on those time boxes, because things that are done are things that adds value. Having more things in progress does not. And let go, as mentioned, use the Eisenhower matrix to help you to decide. So this is it, Eisenhower matrix here. So you can see that has 2 different axes. You have the importance, and you have the urgency. So things at the very top left, we have very urgent matters and very important, so do it now. Okay, that's all right. Things that are very important but not urgent, then schedule them, do them later. And things that are not important but super urgent for some reason, just delegate, outsource. And things that are none of these 2 things, just bye-bye, eliminate, don't do it. And that's okay. Now, theme number 2. How many times have you been in a situation similar to this? At the end of a meeting, someone asks, are we all in agreement? And everybody goes, yay. Yet you can find out that wasn't really an alignment, because through the actions and time that passed, it makes it obvious. And with that, we get into the theme number 2, which is visualization. And I could argue that is relevant for any teams. It's like asteroids for common understanding. So visuals, not that I'm doing this today. I do it all the time. I do it to support the content. Like the above works quite well to assess options and seek agreement. So for example, so if you're going to present different options, or you have been assessing different technologies that you might be going to use, just put something visual to support that conversation. And you can see, for example, the different options at the top and all the different variables that you are assessing. And then very clearly, it helps to convey an agreement and have the same common understanding. And not only good for explaining something to others, but I find it also useful for oneself to organize my thoughts. I even spin these things on the spot. And visuals is not just that they are easy to digest, but they've proven that we can read and listen at the same time. But also is how we form our memories. We do it with visuals, and also is how we recall them. We call them this way too. And face-to-face. Although we are distributed, we have the means to be face-to-face. Get your camera on. And even when you share the screen, try to get your face on. Non-verbal communications certainly has its weighting to the totality of how we communicate. And personally, I avoid backgrounds, although maybe it's fun if you want to use it to make a point, like a silly birthday celebration silliness. Just be yourself. We have so many different interesting things of our life, and those things will surface. Like I had so many funny conversations about the love of board games that I have. You know, this is me, this is us. When you have meetings always on face-to-face, allow yourself to move in different meeting areas by different type of meetings that you will have. That's okay. And in terms of visuals, make them interactive. So when discussing working through something, use interactive tools. Could be as simple as like a shared Google drawing. Again, I do it all the time, everybody with access. And we can collaborate on the visual to form that common understanding on the spot. Also, you may be thinking about how is this because it's gonna work in big meetings. Have a split of subgroups to give the opportunity for everybody's voice to be heard. Use things like round robin or pass the baton, so it might go and then before I finish I say, and then this person goes next. And avoid awkward silences such as, any questions? Maybe you want to ask instead, which questions do you have? We were talking about visual, yet avoid at all costs death by PowerPoint. And theme number 3, which is how can we create togetherness being distributed? I often get asked this very often, and I'll probably rephrase to enable. I mean, how can we create opportunities to connect? Because when you go to the office, you are given a social life there. So build this in your virtual co-working space. So connect, things that you already have at hand today. We have, again, way too many tools, and more tools is not going to solve any communication issues. We tend to think that tech solves everything, and tech is there to aid, but doesn't solve anything by itself. So keep things simple, minimize disturbance, you know, things like having a team back channel, for example, open all day link. For anybody to join, to have a chat, can be work or non-work, a place to encourage everybody to discuss, even have like optional lunch together, yet allow people and encourage also to have some time away from the screen, right? Your poor eyes. Have a buddy system like a scuba diving or co-pilot, so check in with each other, pair up, stay connected. Opportunities to share where you want to grow. It's not just the right now, but you know, invest to know each other to better build trust over time. In this theme, the importance of openness. And to explain this, I'm going to tell you a story from Vasco Duarte. And if you don't know his work, do check it out, especially on #NoEstimates. So It's a story around co-located teams. Only 1% of the team was remote and everybody was co-located. They agreed to have a mic, an open link all day in a table in the office to have the work conversations that happens within the office near that mic. And after a while, it kind of became of a habit. You're going to have a discussion and then you end up going over there. And out of magic, one day they heard back a voice chipping in with some very good points in terms of architectural decisions. Just like that, boom. Experience. So that previous story, which takes us to having the same kind of experience, although we may be distributed or co-located and again have different types of forms and shapes. So sometimes we are not all remote, so look at have a setup for all that has the same experience. Again, it's only about fairness, right? So in the past I've done, although there was a mixture, we end up all just jumping in a link and having a meeting that way. So we all have the same environment, we all have the same opportunity and I have the same experience. And I think here, personal experience in terms of learning of something that we experience, which is acknowledge your own and be smart about it. For example, we have this rhythm. There is a very good book of Daniel Pink called When, and there is this daily rhythm, and it's important to acknowledge. And for me, what works really well is that after lunch, I have some short but super energizing meetings that gives me a boost for the end of the day. You know, find your boundaries. And that takes us to another theme, which is oops or anti-patterns, such as like a common response of a reoccurring problem that's usually not very effective and it risks to be counterproductive. And here is one of the things I think we need to be very careful, right, in terms of our environment. And there is just so much noise and disturbance. Distraction, burn, context switch, multitask is really awful. So be meaningful. Again, start with yourself. I don't want to know what's up. So unstructured. Be mindful of yours and other people's time and focus. So don't waste it. It's not okay. It's not fair. Start with yourself, like all the other things that we cover. Really listen and be to the point. Have a clear workspace. It's something I'm really trying to get better at, reducing the amount of different tabs and workspaces I have open at the same time, removing notifications and million open apps. Allow yourself to get into a flow. Have that focus to sustainable pace of development. That is not only about the product, it's about yourself. That includes you, your setup, your posture, your health, your breaks. Look outside for your eyesight, have a screen rest. Burnout is a bigger issue than laziness. And with all of this, experiment. It's just like science. It's all down to trial and error. Expecting that all magically is going to work is naive. So come together as a team often and openly collaborate to tune and adjust what the things that works well, the things that could work better, with things you can try, you know, to become more effective. And start with yourself. How could you perfect your own game? All the things that we cover is focusing in principles over tools, over processes, even over practices. So create, overlap, and focus with agreements. Transparency at all levels. Foster experimentation. Assume good intentions. Check out Prime Directive Agile. And have that rhythm, acknowledge the rhythm of life, and resilience, such an important skill. So the performance of a system is not just the sum of its parts, that is the product of its interactions, and if not the quality of those interactions. So yes, organizations are operating systems, that deserves a talk of itself one day. And then in terms of how we sizing the teams, adding more people to a project will extend delays because simply as the lines of communications increases. But again, that probably is a talk for another time. And the very last thing I wanted to say, that if anything, just ping me. I would love to have a further conversation about being distributed. If anything is specific that has worked well for you, just tell me. I think we can learn a lot from each other. Also, as a big token of appreciation from staying here with me, the URL at the bottom, tiny.cc/play-by-play, you can get 1 month for free trial in Pluralsight, where you can learn lots of things, courses online. There is a specific track that is all about Salesforce, and it's called Play-by-Play. So it's there for you, 1 month for free. Go for it. Thank you very much, everyone.